all right in the kisser.
Welcome back to another episode of the SVT Podcast. I am
What
with
up?
Sam, Vince.
What's up?
Your full team
guys
today.
doing?
What's going
That's
on,
right.
guys?
Full strength.
How's everyone's weekend?
Exhausting.
Busy.
I was
Yeah.
my dad he does a lot of like decorations for Christmas and stuff, and so it takes forever to put them up, and it also takes forever to take them down. We got the last of it like all taken down, and we put them all in storage and everything. So that was the big Saturday project, and I'm worn out, but I'm happy to talk sports now.
Damn.
Yeah.
How about you, Sam? We missed you last week. So how's your week been?
My week's been pretty good. Been really busy. As some of you know, we're full board planning the wedding now. So that's taken focus. Some of you have received.
Now it's your turn.
And then Sunday was working in the garage and organizing things. And we said this earlier this year, where Vince got his new background. My new background is in progress, and it's going to be kind of interesting because it's going to go back into the work shed, but it's also incorporating some stuff on one of the original podcasts that Vince and I did, the Green and Gold Show. And so I had some background graphics behind us, so that's going to be reincorporated. So it's like old and new,
Right.
for
It's
the
fusion. Yeah.
it's fusing it past and current into the futures.
Honoring our heritage and whatnot.
There you go.
With the exception of any A's fandom, they could rot in freaking hell.
Mhm.
FJF.
FJF.
Well, without further ado, I want to get into some football here. We have one news, and I just wanted to talk about how the LA Rams have given Matthew Stafford, his agent, and Matthew Stafford as well, permission to speak with other teams. So, with that being said, I have a question that I want to propose.
Okay.
So now that Matthew Stafford is allowed to seek a trade partner, this opens the doors for multiple teams to try and bolster their QB position. Should the likes of Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, etc., not be on the table for the Raiders? The Raiders seem like a team that might have a real chance of going after it. The question that I propose is, would the Raiders look to make a trade, or would they stand pat trying to find a QB through the draft? Now, one thing to note, reporting came out today that Stafford believes he is worth $50 million a year. That could definitely change a lot of teams' tunes about him. So, as you guys can see, there's a wonderful picture that we put up today of what Matthew Stafford might look like in a Raiders uniform.
Look at that.
Shout out the tech department.
That's right. We'll get that
What are we
second.
thinking, boys?
He's got to earn that second T in Matthew, but other than that, it looks great.
Yeah. The second T that got credited out there, but that's fine. He's got to earn it.
Yeah, no, it got it's on the injured list.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do we think?
It's on IR.
Are you liking the idea, Sam?
It's not going to happen. I mean, one, what is it going to cost? What is it going to cost? I'm not paying a first. I'm not paying a second, because one, as great as he is, the Raiders are far more than just a quarterback away.
Sure.
So, yeah, it does change some things, where if you were able to trade for Stafford, let's say you were able to get him for a handful of third and fourths and things like that, and you sign him to a new contract, it does advance. Like, can you take a running back in the draft? Do you take a defensive person in the draft? Like, what do you take in the draft, right? But you still need to add to the wide receiver room. You still need to add to both sides of the ball on the line. I just don't see it this year. To me, this would be a this year move.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's this year. I think it's next year and the third year that you got to look out for. I think this year what you're looking for is to be competitive and hopefully be one of those teams that sneaks into the playoffs and see what happens once you're in. But to go all in on Matt Stafford, where it's a 2-year run, plus the injuries, can you really trust this guy? depending on what the capital it's going to take, you may say goodbye to your quarterback of the future in the draft this year or next year. So I'm out. I love Matt Stafford, but I think what the Rams are going to want and what the Raiders are willing to give up, it's not going to work out. And honestly, I think Matt Stafford's going to end up staying with the Rams. I think somebody will say, yeah, we'll give up a second rounder. And then they're just going to come to an agreement and stay a Ram.
Yeah, I think the Giants are probably going to be the team that is going to push hardest, because both the GM and the head coach, they are that seat is getting mighty toasty, and if you've got, they don't have a quarterback at all. They had Drew Lock was starting games at the end of the year for them. So that's embarrassing. They cut Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. He was garbage, and he was better. He was the best option they had, and he was garbage. We know that at this point. So,
well, just remember, Mara always said, I'm not paying a running back $10 million. I'm not paying my quarterback to hand off to a $10 million running back. So we see how that worked out.
Yeah, exactly. They're just stupid mistakes on top of stupid mistakes in that poverty franchise, basically, at this point. Except they're in New York, so they're not really poverty per se, but they behave like it for sure. And I just the Giants, I think it would be a possible landing spot for him. But I also see the Giants just being used as leverage to try to get a better deal out of somebody else, because I wouldn't want to go there if I was Matthew Stafford. I mean, yeah, you have Malik Neighbors as an excellent young up-and-coming talent. I know I won a lot of games early in the season in fantasy football with him. But it's just that's other than that, it's not, the line's not that great. You don't have a running game to speak of. The defense is mid, right now.
I would say their defense was probably one of their strongest suits.
It was the best part of that team for sure, and they still finished second. They're picking number 2.
Yeah, but I think they finished 5th in team sacks.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, they can get to the quarterback, but like coverage and stuff like that, when they're
correct,
and run stopping and stuff, like teams, they were allowing all they were just on the field a lot is part of the problem, obviously. And maybe if have a better offense, the defense just gets better through osmosis of not having to be on the field as often. But
sure.
But overall, just raw numbers or whatever, their defense is not that great. So if I'm at Stafford, I'm not going to the Giants if I can help it. Well, unless they fork over the $55 million a year or whatever, something crazy.
Money talks. Obviously, would be a trade, so it's not even if there is the money, it doesn't mean that the Rams have to agree to it, right? So I guess there's always that part of it. But I guess the question mark is there's no O-line. So why would anybody want to go there?
The Giants draft 3rd overall, just for clarification.
Third.
Okay.
Apologies.
3rd overall. Yep.
And it sounds like the Titans are trying to make a push to get that number 1 pick to trade for it at least. So,
moving up from 2 to 1.
They're trying. They think
the
that
Browns.
No, the Titans.
The Titans.
The Titans have the number 1 spot.
No, it's the. Is it the Titans? Oh yeah. You're right.
Oh, no, it's okay. Titans, Browns, Giants.
Titans, Browns, Giants. You're right.
Got it. So, I mean, again, the O-line is the question mark. So I don't know why Stafford would want to go there either if he were to waive that clause and want to go sign with them. But again, it sounds like Russell Wilson's in play. Sam Darnold's going to get somewhere. And I honestly think that Kirk Cousins might end up landing in New York just because nobody else is really going to take a flyer on him, and New York needs a quarterback. So I could see that happening very easily, in my opinion. But I think the $50 million reporting really kind of maybe soured some teams to maybe not push as hard as maybe they were probably going to do until they heard that report.
What teams do you think are just a quarterback away? Right?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So, I mean,
just a quarterback, the quarterback.
There's none.
Quarterback gets them into a playoff spot, is what you're saying, right?
So I think if you're Stafford, if you're canvassing the scenery of like potential landing spots that could give you 45, 50 million in your final 2 seasons or so,
Maybe the Lions. No.
right?
That would
Go
be
back to the
chaotic.
Lions.
That would be chaotic.
That would be great. I would like that just for drama purposes.
Yeah. Oh
But
my God.
I just don't see. I just see him going back as a Ram. Like, why would you want to go anywhere else? At least with the Rams, they've been drafting well. They're building. They got a young nucleus. Like, you might as well just ride it out and stick with the Rams. They're going to treat you good. You could figure out a number. Be comfortable.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, the teams that are like, I'm just looking in the NFC. I'm like, none of the situations where they need a quarterback are just a quarterback away. And then, I mean, the Browns, like if they do end up not trading the defensive lineman, why am I blanking on his name?
Now you got me drawing a blank on his name. I can see his face.
Yeah. Anyway, so like if they end up holding on, I think that defense is definitely not bare bones, to be sure, and they are a quarterback away, but I mean they have Jerry Jeudy. He looked pretty good with Jameis. So I mean,
Myles Garrett.
Yeah, Myles Garrett. That's who it is. The Jaguars. They just paid Trevor Lawrence, so they're not. They're going to ride with Trevor Lawrence for another 3 years until he, craps out, I guess.
Do you think
the Colts?
Do you think
maybe it's the Colts.
Could be the Colts. Do you think that if Miami were to keep the offense that it has, that they're a quarterback away?
I think.
Good argument.
Yeah, I mean, because of the injury questions with Tua, who like literally has a countdown from Varsity Blue from what was it, like Not Another Teen Movie, making fun of Varsity Blues concussions until Robbie Ray dies or whatever, and it just keeps ticking down. Like that's what they got on the scoreboard in Miami for Tua. So like I mean, I think that Miami could be interesting, but I don't know, like that would mean officially giving up on Tua, and not only that, you're like financially, I don't know their situation either. So I don't know if they're capable of doing that. I think Tua is good enough when healthy, that they're at least a playoff team for sure. And when you're in the playoffs at that point, so it takes a little bit of luck as well, Yeah,
so. Sure. All right, boys. Well, let's get into the hardwood and the strength in numbers that is this Warriors basketball team here. We had a couple games kind of bleeding into the weekend here. The Warriors get the win on Friday against the Kings, 132-106. And then we had a Sunday afternoon game here. The Mavs came in town and got an absolute butt whooping, 126-102. PJ Washington added quite a bit of feel to this game, given that right before the All-Star game, PJ Washington enacted the Curry Signatures night-night move with a stat line of nothing, because PJ Washington was a DNP that game. So the petty king himself, Steph Curry, took it upon himself to make sure that PJ knew who he was dealing with, as Steph finished with 30 points and an early night-night celebration with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Also wanted to bring out that Jimmy Butler had the highest plus-minus percentage in a home debut in Warriors franchise history. Jimmy Butler is also third on the list of free throws attempted in the first 5 games in Warriors franchise history. I'm willing to say I'm going to eat crow on this one, but I got to see what we do if we get ourselves into the playoffs here. But Jimmy Butler's turned to be one of a great acquisition for the Warriors here, and I'm loving every minute of it. So
it was high risk, high reward, and so far it's been reward, and I'm just really pleased with how he's integrated so quickly into the team. He's playing well. He's getting to the line like crazy. We knew he was capable of that, but you just seeing it in person is a whole nother thing, and I'm really enjoying like getting these extra points just, from attacking the rim and, getting calls. And I'm excited for what we've seen so far. And I'm excited for the upcoming week as well. They're in the East. They're playing Charlotte tomorrow at home, and then they start an East Coast swing, so that you got at Orlando, at Philly, and at Charlotte. And Orlando is sitting in the 7 seed. Philly is they're in 12th. They're done. They need
Embiid
to
is not
call
playing
it.
again. He's seeking another doctor for his back here. So.
Right. Yeah. He needs to they need to shut him down, and maybe he'll be right by October, November next year. And the Hornets are second from the bottom. So this is upcoming week. I mean, the Magic is going to be a little bit of a tougher test. They're right around 500. They're just a game under. Other than that, these are teams that you should dominate. Honestly, even Orlando, you should be able to win that one too. So I would love to see them go 4-0, they're at Charlotte. That game starts at 4 p.m. next Monday. So that game, they should have that game in hand by the time we're recording next week, I would hope.
And again, a lot of familiarity with Butler being on the East Coast for so long with Philly and also now with Miami. And so there's probably some game tapes that some IQ that he could throw into that mix as well.
No East Coast flus under the Jimmy Butler watch. So
that's right.
There's going to be no flu bug in New York, no flu bug in Miami. No, you gotta climb the ladder here. And I think by this time next week, you're talking about the Warriors. They're only a game and a half back from the sixth.
Yeah.
Remember a month ago, we were like, man, you still got a chance. Now it looks like, can you go for the 5?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All of a sudden,
you got to get the 6 before you can get the 5.
Yeah.
But I think 6 is like, hey, it's there. You just gotta win.
Yeah. You're 5 games out of the 5 seed right now. You literally,
the Clippers, right?
The Rockets are in the 5 seed. The Clippers are in the 6 seed.
6, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
none of these teams. We smoked the Mavericks yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The Timberwolves just don't look the same. They're kind of falling apart. And then the Clippers are gonna clip, right?
Right. Yeah.
They just do what they do. And then San Antonio lost Wemby. Phoenix is a mess. So those guys are below you in the standings. So I think it's there. The 5 is within reason. You can get there, but I think the 6 is totally there, and nobody wants to be in this play-in tournament. You don't want to be in that.
No, here's a fun fact. The Lakers and the Rockets, the Lakers are in the 4 seed. The Rockets are in the 5 seed. The Lakers only have the 4 seed by percentage points, man, because they play 2 fewer games. Right. The 4 and the 5 are basically tied. So if the 5 is within reach,
the 4 is
mathematically the 4 is within reach as well. You need to have those teams lose a couple more games.
Can you imagine? We were talking about this team being a peddling 500 team, and they could end up the season having home court advantage for at least a series.
Basketball, man.
That's crazy, man.
It's they're 6 games back of the Lakers in the loss column. They're 5 games back of the Rockets in the loss column. The Clippers, they're only 2 games back in the loss column. They're a game and a half back in reality because the Clippers have played 1 more game.
Sure.
It's right there, man.
That's crazy.
1 fewer game, excuse me. Yeah.
Well, the reason why we had an afternoon game was because we had a ceremony festivities to conclude the game. The number 9, Andre Iguodala himself, gets his number retired in the banners. And I don't know if you guys watched his interview process, but I'm not his interview, his speech that he said for it. But I found it to be very unique and completely different from any other speech that I've ever seen a retired player give. But it was on brand for who Iggy is, right? Or at least what he became towards the end of the season. We all know that he became focused on trying to become something in the Silicon Valley. He worked with multiple foundations to spread awareness and help young African Americans become leaders and CEOs in their own communities. So giving back to what he was learning and soaking in towards the end of his career there. But his speech was very focused on thinking those behind the scenes that kind of make the wheels turn. I thought that was unique. I thought it was completely different. But then there was something that he said towards the end that I found really profound. And it kind of made me put it into perspective and rethink what we're witnessing now. And it's completely true. But he held the microphone, looked at Steph Curry and told him, Steph Curry may know who he is, but he doesn't know who he is. And that this is only the start of the ceremony that is Steph Curry. And Andre's right. So like while the sun is not setting on Curry, but it's certainly closer to setting than it is being at its height, right? But Andre, who said because he's the oldest, it's the start of remembering Steph's legacy and the culture he brought to the Warriors organization. So as we see more banners in the rafters, it'll be a reminder of how fortunate we are as fans to witness and live through one of the greatest, if not the greatest, eras of Warriors basketball. But as these guys get their numbers retired, it is a celebration of Steph, because Steph is the nucleus that put this all together. If it wasn't for his demeanor and how he carried himself on and off the court, I don't think Andre would be coming here. I don't think KD would be coming here. I think Jimmy Butler is playing inspirational basketball. I haven't heard a peep out of him. It's all this talks about how he's a cancer in the locker room. He's been nothing but quiet. And I think he's enjoying that he doesn't have to be the number one guy. Steph Curry is the number one guy.
Bob Myers said it on the broadcast, right?
Yeah.
Because what was the problem in Miami? He wanted to get paid. And what did the Warriors do?
They paid him.
They paid him.
Yeah.
So they gave him what he wanted. They paid him. And right, wrong, it's all fantasy money at this point. It's not our money.
Yeah.
Right? And they paid him. And I think, to defend ourselves a little bit, I think all of us were a little like confused about the Jimmy Butler trade. I don't think any of us were saying that it was going to be a good trade that guaranteed, gets you as a contender, because I still think you got to go through OKC and Denver to, for the West. But I mean, we admitted that we still landed a legit superstar. And we talked about the years of being excited for the Larry Hughes trade, So we're kind of spoiled a little bit by the shine of Steph Curry, but absolutely, we talked about this quite a bit. What do you do? Do you just suck for the next 2 to 3 years because of contracts, or do you go all in and get Jimmy Butler and try to add somebody else maybe in the offseason to get another ring? Because again, we talked about this in the offseason when Klay Thompson was going to Dallas, right? Is this generation, this crop of players, it's a race to get to that 5. It's the race for the 5th championship, because you got all these guys tied. Because right now, if it ends right now, you got all these guys tied. LeBron, Curry, right? Aren't they tied?
Yeah, they both got 4.
Like, everybody's looking for the 5th one. There's nobody in this generation like a Jordan that has way more championships than everybody else. There's like a Jordan era. So if Curry gets to 5, this whole era
that equals Kobe,
it's become the Curry era, so, or whoever gets that 5th, it's going to become that era. And that's why, the Lakers getting Luka is like, oh shoot, oh snap, because if LeBron just rides the coattails of Luka and they get another one, right, it's the LeBron era. And LeBron could go another 5 years for all we know.
Yeah, he may be able to play with his second son.
Absolutely. The ceremony of Iguodala was different, unique, but absolutely spot on about the ceremonies of Curry. Is that there's still a lot of time, there's still a lot of opportunity for Curry in this franchise to achieve. And I think some of these young guys, and Jimmy Butler wants to get one, right? Like, he wants one.
He dragged Miami to the finals on 2 different occasions
as a playing tournament team last time.
Like, as an 8 seed, kicking and screaming, he dragged them into the playoffs and into the finals. Like, so we know he's capable of playing like incredible basketball, especially in crunch time. And now that he can be like now that he's a compliment instead of the main show, the main piece, I can't wait to see what happens.
To rephrase Tyler's initial question is like, do you think this team is Draymond going around saying that this team's going to win a championship team? How do you guys feel about all that?
When he said it, I was thinking there's 2 things that went through my head. The first thing was he was getting into it with everyone and anyone as far as NBA figureheads when he was on the stage. He was saying things that were pissing off people left and right. And I thought, he must be having a couple of drinks because he is feeling himself right now. The second thing I thought was, oh my God, he just literally put all the pressure onto this team, and I don't know what's going to happen come after the All-Star break. And luckily, it looks like this team has responded quite well and haven't even felt the pressure of what he put on this team by saying that. And it's starting to look like, not necessarily that we have a championship online, but the hope is there. And that's all you need to give Steph Curry is hope.
I got a 2-word phrase: puncher's chance.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like it's not so crazy to think that it's possible. Like it is. There are universes where this happens, starting from this point going forward. Like it is on the table.
Yeah.
How many universes? Like, as of right now, it's still a really tough road to get there, but it's not impossible now.
22 has proved
since this trade, the Warriors instantly became 10,000% more interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
Now, with them winning, only one loss with Jimmy Butler, and you're seeing all of this, now you're like, oh man, they can make the playoffs and they could do damage. Like they've doubled their interest level. I did see this. I did hear this interview with Steve Kerr where he said he really enjoyed that Draymond came out and said that they can be a championship team. And he's kind of glad that he's saying it with his chest, because as a coach, anytime that Draymond or anybody who is, affiliated with this idea, right? It's about holding the players accountable. It's about holding Draymond accountable, that whether it's in practice or film room or in a game, that, hey, you're popping off saying that we're going to win a championship and you're not playing like a championship player. So Steve Kerr did talk about like the ability, he likes it because he can hold players accountable to it. So I thought that was an interesting take. Steve Kerr's always a pretty thoughtful guy. So he had a lot to say in that interview.
That makes a lot of sense. I do want to say that, I was talking briefly about how there was talks about Butler being a cancer in the locker room, and kind of what you guys were saying, puncher's chance. But now I'm starting to see it, just thinking about it, the Sunday game, that Pods look happy. There's a scene where he jumps on Butler's back and they're joking and having a good time. Buddy Hield is laughing on the court or on the sidelines and joking with Butler. So it seems that,
and the biggest shocker, Moses Moody getting consistent playing time and all of a sudden being really good.
Yeah, there's been a sense of a rejuvenation. I'm curious what's going to happen when JK gets in. Obviously minutes are going to go down for our players across the board, but it just seems like there's something brewing that wasn't there, the first half of the season, and I'm here for it, man. Let's just roll with the punches and see what we got.
Yeah, there's a little bit of levity. Yeah.
So,
the past month before Jimmy Butler, it was like, the Warriors are on, and I kind of watched and would tune in and out and have something else on. And if it was if the Sharks were on, I would just watch the Sharks over the Warriors, to be honest. I really was. Now I got to get 2 screens if they're on the same.
You know what? It's funny. There's been several times, including this, like a couple times this last week, where I'll have one game on the iPad and then one game on the TV. Right. And so that's, and then just whatever game is going to end first is the one that's on the big screen. And then halftime or intermission or whatever sport it is. I was doing it for women's soccer, the U.S. women's national team. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But then like the Warriors or the Sharks game, whenever whatever game was happening, I was pinging back and forth. It was also, you know what it was? It was on Thursday. Also, it was the Four Nations tournament. We're going to talk about that and the U.S. women's national team playing. So I was pinging back and forth between that, flipping the screens when one went to halftime, or intermission.
Well, we'll get to that, but first we want to talk about some Sharks hockey. The Sharks are back in the action, concluding the Four Nations Cup here. We had a game yesterday, and we had one hell of a game. We have the one currently going on, but I want to speak about yesterday's game. Dustin Wolf, a Fresno native who grew up as a Sharks fan, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. Played in the junior Sharks organization. Yeah.
I think Cooley was. I think they were like a year away from each other as far as being the part of that. But anyways, he had the Flames back all night. Sharks had plenty of chances to get a goal in if it wasn't for Wolf. Macklin and Toffoli get in the action, scoring a goal apiece, but it wasn't enough to hold the Flames as Joel Haley scored his first goal of the season. I think they said in the announcement that it was his fourth goal of his career or something.
Yeah, in like
that.
220 something games. Yeah.
That's crazy. So they take the lead in the third. Oh my gosh, I'm going to pronounce his name totally wrong. Georgiev. Oh, I said it right.
Yeah, Georgiev. Yep, you got it.
Georgiev, I think he played well. He showed some promise. He's going to have to step up even more as Askarov is now day-to-day after dealing with a lower body injury he incurred with the Barracudas. But look, that I would say coming off the Four Nations Cup and how we watched people play and how fast they were and more physical, that Sharks team last night looked like they were inspired after watching the Four Nations Cup. So, and it looks like it's kind of carried over into this game as well too. I know we didn't get the win, but that team looked physical, ready for action, and I was genuinely excited watching that game, and I'm just as excited watching the game that we have currently going on right now.
Yeah, they're up 1-0.
And they're in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg is a very good team. I believe they're tops in their division and near the top in the Western Conference, if not at the top. So I'm looking at the standings right now. Yeah, Winnipeg is they have 83 points. Yeah, they're tops in the Central, tops in the Western Conference. It's a really good team, and so right now they're it might be a little bit Winnipeg just not like maybe overlooking the Sharks a little bit, but also the Sharks are playing well. I would expect that they're going to fall apart here and end up losing this game, but it's fun while it lasts, and like we said, there's going to be a lot of losses, but at least they're fun, they're watchable.
Yeah. The Sharks are currently 15, 36, and 7, 8th in the Pacific, 16th in the West. Currently, we have the Winnipeg game. Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead, and I'll let you do this because we got to do our pick of the week. So who else we got in the mix?
All right. So we are in the race to the bottom. So this is something that I just kind of threw together last night as I was getting my images together. And I just wanted to show where the Sharks are in relation to every other team in the NHL, not just the Western Conference. So right now the Sharks are at the bottom, 37 points. You have Chicago 4 points clear. Nashville is 10 points clear of us. And then you're talking Buffalo, Seattle, Pittsburgh. Those teams aren't really going to catch us. But I was basically looking at where the teams finish. That's where you go into like your percent chances for the lottery, right? And so that's where you're going to you need to at least keep an eye on Seattle and Pittsburgh, because the top 5, I think, have like, a fairly close
puncher's chance. They got a puncher's chance.
They got a puncher's chance. We should have named it puncher's chance. So the Sharks right now, obviously, they're going to be your favorites to land the number 1 overall seed, but draft pick. But they're, Chicago is going to be right there. Nashville, Buffalo, and Seattle and Pittsburgh are going to be. They might be able to move up to into the top 4 as well, and that's kind of where you're picking, where they do the draft lotteries in the first couple of picks, and then they just kind of let it all fall where it falls after that. So that's why I went 6 teams deep on this, and that's why you're going to see that going forward. I think just kind of where the Sharks are in relation to everybody else in the NHL.
Nice. I think we got to make our picks though this week. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So let's so we'll leave that image up while we make these picks. Let's see. So upcoming at Winnipeg, that game's already started. None of us would want to pick that anyway. They're at Montreal on Thursday. They're at Ottawa on Saturday, and they're at Toronto on Monday at 4:30. That game. So yeah, we got 2 games happening while we're recording next week. So we're gonna have to do a little double duty, I guess. Maybe I'll put the YouTube on the phone and have the game on one game on the tablet and the other on the screen above me. Yeah. So which game are you guys picking? I went with Montreal because I'm taking the easier path to get the W.
I'm definitely not going against Austin Matthews, so fuck that.
No. So yeah, you're looking at either Ottawa or Montreal then at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Montreal.
Okay. How about you, Sam?
I'll take Ottawa just to go different.
All right. And I will. Ooh, why do I have caps locks on there? Yeah. So I'll lock that in. And at this point, I think it's time to start talking a Four Nations tournament, right? Is that
Yes,
the next
sir.
image?
We
What
have
an
Four
absolute failure.
Oh man,
Hey
it
man, the
was.
Four Nations was amazing, man. So I just quickly here, Team Canada wins the Nations Cup in overtime with a centerpiece goal from
They
none other than
cheated.
Connor McDavid.
Mhm.
Dude, NHL with a combination of the NBA fumbling the bag with their All-Star and the conclusion of the NFL season led to 9.3 million viewers for the Cup final.
And
The NHL
that's
absolutely
that's in
struck
USA
gold.
only. That doesn't count
Yes.
Canada's viewership, which is probably at least as much with 90% fewer people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they certainly received more fans after the Four Nations Cup than they ever had before. So I think it was just a brilliant event. Maybe a culmination of geopolitics played a hand in making this rivalry just a little bit more intense. But it had all the dramas, man, and the makings of an all-time great. Politics aside, man, it made one of the most entertaining hockey matches I've ever seen. The best part is that we get to run it back next year for the Olympics and should have the makings to set up for another all-time great, man. I love it.
Yeah, the Olympics are going to be a lot of fun. This tournament was a lot of fun, and I was just like, I was so locked in. I literally have like the descriptions for every single goal in our show notes in case we needed it. But yeah. So I mean, you just look at it. USA actually took the lead at one point too. And yeah, they were up 2-1. Mitchell Marner ended up tying it up in the second period, and then it ended up going to overtime, right? And it was just it was so fun to watch. It was like best on best hockey.
I really thought
great.
the U.S. was going to pull it off in the third because they were showing all these statistics of the U.S.'s defense and point differential, and they're showing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, we're gonna get it. It's a little sad we didn't get it, but
Bennington, as much as we were giving him shit, he played his ass off.
He definitely stepped up. Even though, as Sharks fans, we hate him. Credit where credit's due. He played incredible in that game, and honestly, Hellebuck stood on his head as well. Both goalies this game was won by Canada. USA did not lose this game. It was an excellent effort from everybody, and I just if you can find the replays or whatever, I would go watch those if you haven't watched it at all. It's just best on best hockey is unmatched, man. This is great, and I'm so excited for the Olympics next year. I'm glad that the hockey players, the NHL players, are going to get to play again. Because they were.
I love that the banner photo wasn't the same as your photos there that you put up. So shout out to us for picking different photos here, huh?
Right, yeah, that was lucky. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about the Four Nations was when they were doing the introductions for the first game, and they bring out Austin Matthews, who's the center for the Maple Leafs, and Canada booed him hard. Just because he was on Team USA.
Yeah, well, and also bad things happening to the Toronto Maple Leafs is sort of a beloved pastime for NHL fans to make fun of, and it's like
his face, he looked into the crowd like, huh?
With his big old forehead.
Yeah. and those Canadian games were in Montreal as well, so you had a little bit of extra spice as well. So they were going to boo him no matter what, and they gave it to him for sure, man.
Yeah, don't forget the fight that broke out 9 seconds into that game too. The first
the 3 fights in 9 seconds. Yeah, wild.
Loved it, man. I loved every bit of it. I can't wait for Utah, the Olympics, to bring that back up. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, was that 2030? I think. Yeah.
So
they're going to Italy. They're going to be in Milan, I think, in Italy.
Yes, that's the next one.
And then after that, it's going to be in Salt Lake.
I just hope that I don't know how I feel about this with all leagues doing something. But I know the NBA is trying to do something with this tournament, a tournament that means nothing, right? like
Right. The
a
playing
tournament
tournament.
that means nothing.
I mean, not to play in the in-season tournament.
Right. It means
Yeah.
nothing. This meant something because national pride means something. What's the gentleman that we watched the speech on his show where he the former hockey player, and he was saying that
PK Subban.
Yeah,
you're not
PK
going to get
Subban.
this out of basketball because they don't have the passion for it.
Yep.
The culture of hockey is different. And I 100% agree with it that other leagues, baseball, NFL, basketball, they don't care about all-star games, and therefore fans don't really care for it. So I hope the other leagues are catching on that you need to put a good product out there if you're going to charge $1,000 for an all-star game or whatever it is. Every single one of these games in the Four Nations was good. Every single game, not just US and Canada or who the US played. Every single game was good. I watched a majority of the games, and I didn't watch every single game, but I watched a majority of the games, even games that didn't have Canada and the United States. I watched the other countries, and it was fun. It was great, and that's what the NBA and NFL and MLB need to do. But
I think that's the secret sauce, right? Because if you think about it, we're scoring A's fans, yet we found the love and passion watching the World Baseball Classic. That was some of the most fun,
great,
inspiring baseball we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, best on best international tournament, I think, is the that's the secret sauce maybe that you were wondering about. And obviously the NFL can't do that because
they're trying.
Tackle football is a distinctly American sport. Like it is. I mean, like it exists in other countries, and they, like there are leagues. I went to high school with a guy that's like a coach in Australia or something for a tackle football league. I haven't checked it. I gotta double check that. But like, so those leagues do exist, but like they're not making news or anything like that. Like, but baseball does, hockey, basketball, these are international sports. And I think that might be what basketball needs to lean into, maybe, is an international best on best tournament.
I think the United States might get smoked though. Like maybe not in the Olympics, but if it was like some type of every other year, every few years thing with the NBA, I just don't know if players are going to be motivated by it, to be honest.
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and I was gonna say with the NFL, like I agree with you. There's like, if you were able to do some US versus Canada thing, like, it's not going to work. Like the NFL is primarily a NFL, it's North American, United States of America sport, not, but I don't think, I know there's some teams that aren't as good in the NFL, but I think most franchises are trying. Like, I think the teams that are bottom dwellers like the A's, John Fisher, and the Cincinnati Reds, that their owner is terrible. Baltimore for a long time. There's so many bad owners in baseball.
Yes.
So many bad owners in basketball. We're getting rid of some of them. The other leagues need to change it and wake up. The NHL is by far ahead with their getting rid of the All-Star game, doing these tournaments. I just hope they don't oversaturate it. Like we were talking about this a little bit off air. The stadium series, I think that's something that probably needs to be also once every 2 to 3 years. That way you have all these things spaced out where everything feels new and fresh, and you're not worn out by it.
Right.
Because if they were doing the Four Nations every year, I think year 3 or 4 would kind of get boring, get tiresome.
Yeah, no, I get that. And like, I think the answer for the stadium series is just to go back to the when they started doing this, it was just the NHL Outdoor Winter Classic is what it was called. Right. And that's the New Year's Day game.
So I think that
just the one game.
There is something to with the whole World Cup type of deal situation for NBA. There's an argument to be made. I mean, okay, so very small sample size. We're only 5 years into this, although 4 has only been noted here. But your last MVPs for the basketball is Jokic from Serbia, Joel Embiid for Cameroon, Jokic again from Serbia, Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece. So there hasn't been an American winning in the 2020s. So there's something to be said that there is definitely a culture of you could get maybe a world basketball thing together, but I don't know how well you would organize it. Would you organize it as like continent type of situations? Would you organize it by a country? Because I mean, how many Cameroon basketball players are in the league?
Right, and Joel Embiid is already like locked into Team USA also.
True. So I don't know. They have a lot more to work out than I think that maybe some hockey was a little bit easier just because there is so many from those countries, you know?
Right. Yeah. So I think, you know, obviously they have some work to go, and I'm just, there was a couple of notes on hockey. One more, just like, you know, just two other things, little notes. Throw that next image up, Tim. And so the NHL draft is going to be in Los Angeles on June 27th and 28th. I think, you know, it's in part to try to, like, you know, revitalize a little bit because of all the fires and stuff that happened down there, you know, last month. And so that's, you know, that makes sense. They just had like a celebrity tournament. Danny Heatley scored a goal in that thing. I saw a highlight of that. Steve Carell was playing defense. Like, you know, it was like a celebrities and former pros having a fundraiser type thing. And that seemed like a fun event. And then the other note that I have is Alexander Ovechkin is getting real close to Gretzky's total career goals.
How old is he? And he scored a hat trick the other day? Yeah. Was that yesterday?
That was yesterday. Yesterday he scored a hat trick. He is 13 goals away from surpassing Gretzky's career goals record of 894. That hat trick got him to 882, so he's 12 short of tying. 13 secures the record for him. He's also the first person to score at least 200 goals in 3 different decades, because Gretzky was basically all 80s and 90s. He didn't spill into like a third decade. Like, he got all of his, like, you know, 18 years or whatever it was done in those, you know, 2 decades. Ovechkin, he started, you know, like 05, I think, or 06 or something like that. So he got, you know, he blew through 200 real quick there. And then the 2010s, he got 480 something or whatever. And with that hat trick, he went over 200 for the 2020s decade. So,
that's crazy. I don't think he's going to get it this year. We're just so close to buttoning things up, but I think he's going to get it like early next year. That's what I'm guessing. If he decides to stick around for 1 year, which I don't see why he wouldn't.
Here's the thing. The Capitals have played 57 games so far. There's 82 games in a season. So like there's still 25 games left.
Yeah.
If he gets 1 goal every other game from here on out, starting with the next game, that's 13.
It's going to be close, man.
So it's going to be real close. He might be able to do it. They may start feeding him like extra hard just to make sure it actually does happen, man. Because when you get a shot at history, you got to take it, right? I mean, we were
absolutely,
like, you know, like this is not going to happen again for a long, long time. You know,
what are you talking about? Macklin Celebrini is going to do it.
Yeah, like I said,
in a long time.
That's like 15, 20 years from now, man. Like who knows what's happening then?
Yeah. That's crazy.
This is crazy. I lifted both of these pictures specifically from the NHL's Instagram account specifically, so they have this fun little patch. The Great Chase, I think, is what it is, and it's this is crazy to me. I never thought I would see this, man.
When Crosby and Ovechkin were drafted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's the numbers. Ovi has 245 goals in the 2000s and 437 in the 2010s. So
wow.
So 200 plus goals now in the 2020s.
You think he's gonna make the Hall of Fame first ballot?
Yeah, first ballot, absolutely first ballot. I was gonna make a joke about like, I don't know, man. It's kind of a borderline question mark.
There's gonna be that one guy who didn't vote for him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
honestly, that one guy who didn't vote for Ichiro.
Yeah,
where are you at?
Yeah, seriously,
where are you at?
I just want to talk. I just want to.
We'll find him.
It's also like the one guy that didn't vote for Carmelo Anthony that year.
Right.
One
Anyway.
guy.
Yeah,
So.
one freaking guy. Okay. I think that's enough hockey talk.
Yeah. Well, that season's winding down. Another season is coming towards its end here. We're getting close here. We're getting towards the finish line here. Wrexham, pull this up here. There is 14 games left. They are currently 3 points behind Wycombe for second and 9 points away from Birmingham. And it seems like Birmingham's probably going to lock this down with 14 games left here.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
I think Wrexham just has to step on the gas here in our little banner here, which is coming up here. It says, panic meter for Wrexham. I don't know. Could be a little bit of a panic there. Could not be. The reason why I even bring up a panic is because we do a sports podcast and we like to say outlandish shit all the time. So, 14 games left. Wrexham needs to step on the gas here because only the top 2 teams go up automatically. The third spot goes into a tournament. And Wrexham's history of going into a tournament to move up doesn't really look well. It didn't go well last time, and I don't want it to go well. I don't think it's going to go well this time. So, dropping that game against Leyton Orient was a huge loss, but the team bounced back on Saturday with a 2-0 win over Northampton. Up next, there is a semifinal for the Football League Trophy on Wednesday, followed by a match against Bolton on Saturday, and a match on Tuesday against Huddersfield. So the team's going to have to dig deep this week ahead of a jam-packed schedule, not a lot of downtime. We're getting, like I said, we're getting close to the finish line, but it would be glorious to have a story to hear of Wrexham being promoted 3 times and into the Championship League. So I don't know if it's a panic mode, but I think the seat's getting just a little bit warm if you try to avoid that play-in tournament. So I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the standings for League One right now. Bolton Wanderers, they're at 53 points and 32 games played. Leyton Orient is at 53 points and 32 games played. So Leyton has the number 6 seed right now on goal differential. So, but Bolton Wanderers are right there as well. And Charlton Athletic is in the middle of that too. And also you said they're playing Huddersfield Town as well. Well, they're the 5 seed. So you're playing a lot of teams that are right around you right now. So getting W's now is crucial.
A 3-match week is rough
down.
Though.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not easy, but like now's the time. Like especially when you're playing the teams that are right around you, you got to get these W's. Otherwise, you're basically resigned yourself to being in that play-in tournament in that tournament to get the 3rd seed, to get the 3rd promotion spot. Excuse me.
Yes. Also, too, it's not on here, but I just want to note that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have rescinded their hair policy, so players can now have beards, just much like the Yankees. Just want to make sure that that's noted up.
Right. Yeah.
So 14 games left. We'll keep you guys posted, but we are at the twilight here. We're at the finish here. So hopefully we're moving up and not playing for a tournament to get inside of the Championship League. So that being said, from one dream to another, we have up here the She Believes Cup. And I made a banner for you on that one too, Vince. You're welcome.
Oh, nice.
As well. So
yeah, so the with the She Believes Cup, the first 2 games have happened. The first game was on Thursday versus Colombia. USA gets the win 2-0. And on that, we had Kat Macario scored her first goal in like 2 years for the team. She was Lily Johannes, the 17-year-old. She sends a ball deep into the box. Yasmin Ryan tracks it down right near the end line on the right side. She crosses a pass into the center, and then Kat Macario was crashing the net and just darts it home from about 5 yards out. It was a hell of a goal. And then the second goal came from Ali Sentnor, who's 20 years old. Like a lot of young talent right now on this team. They're really developing a lot of young players, and Team USA is going to be really good for a long, long time. Ali Sentnor got fired an absolute piss rocket from about 24 yards out, moving toward the center. It was a little cutback and then in, and just an absolute rocket. It was incredible. And your players of the match, Ali Sentnor in the first game, And then for the second game that was yesterday in Glendale, they get the win versus Australia 2-1. There were 11 different lineup changes for USA between games 1 and 2. That's the first time in 25 years that's ever happened. Lynn Biondolo, formerly Williams, she scores 41 seconds into the game. Emma Sears fed the ball to Jaden Shaw. She crosses a pass into Biondolo, who was charging, and finishes it for about 41 seconds, like I said. And then 7 minutes later, Lynn Biondolo almost got it again, but she was offsides on a Sears shot. It was basically blocked right into her, and she put it in, but she was in an offside position. We fast forward later into the game. Michelle Cooper gets her first international goal in her second ever game. Sentner, again, drives into the box, cuts around a player. And the ball happened to be right near Cooper. Cooper kind of took it from her a little bit and stole that goal from Alice Sentnor, but that's okay. The ball went in. Everybody's happy. Sick finish. Australia did get a goal back by a late substitution, Heyman. They went end-to-end off of a corner, U.S. corner. Goalkeeper gets it and then feeds the attack. And then Australia crosses a pass, and then Heyman just sort of finishes with the header low into the left. And that cut the deficit to 2-1, but that's as close as it gets. So that sets the stage for a showdown versus Japan on Wednesday. Both teams are undefeated so far in this tournament. The winner wins the She Believes Cup. If it ends up being a draw, Japan gets it because Japan has a better goal differential. They won both of their games 4-0 and 4-1. So they're +7, while USA is +3 right now.
Also,
so
shout out again that you and I chose different photos for our images of the week here. So
that was fortunate. Lynn Biondolo was your player of the match, by the way, for that second game. So I do just want to quickly call out, while we're still talking U.S. women's national team, 4 players so far have gotten their first ever caps. In the first game against Colombia, you had Tara McCune, Michelle Cooper, and Giselle Thompson, who her sister, Alyssa Thompson, also plays on the U.S. women's national team, and both of them started the game on the 23rd. So that was the first time since the Mewis sisters, where 2 sisters started a game for Team USA in the same game. And then Claire Hutton got her first ever start for against the Australia. So far you have 4 more players. The head coach, Emma Hayes, is really just trying to get as many players as much opportunity as possible, and especially young players, really trying to develop that talent, like I had said, and seeing who fits well with who, and just trying to see what works and trying to see who can fit what she wants to do with the team as much as possible. And I've been hyped on what's happening so far. And this is in the chat. She's doing a hell of a job. Absolutely, Pops. That's, I don't know what else you can say. Like, she's just she's really crushing it as the Team USA skipper. And yeah, really exciting. We do have a couple of just soccer notes in general. Gonna be a little bit negative here, but this is something that we had started talking about back during the Women's World Cup, and so we finally have a little bit of a resolution on this. The former Spanish football head honcho Luis Rubiales, he was fined more than 10,000 euros, which is 11,400 in American dollars, after he was found guilty of sexual assault for kissing Jenny Hermoso after Spain won the 2023 Women's World Cup. But he's not going to go to prison. The prosecution had asked for a 1-year prison sentence. That ended up not happening, but he is found guilty, and he's not going to be able to serve the Spanish Soccer Federation anymore. And so there's resolution on that, at least. So
whoa.
Yeah. So I'm glad they at least, took it seriously enough and found him guilty. And I mean, they had tape all over. There was, he did the thing. They found him guilty. Thank God they found him guilty, and we can close the book on that and move on. So now let's move on to the NWSL. Denver expansion team is going to have a fan vote on the official team name. That is now happening now through Wednesday. So they could be Denver Peak, Colorado 14ers, Colorado Summit, These all end in FC, by the way. Denver Elevate FC, Denver FC, Denver Gold FC, and they're also accepting write-in names. And the poll is also asking if the club name should represent the city of Denver or the state of Colorado. So maybe you prefer Colorado Peak FC or whatever, if you want to mix that up. Denver 14ers, and that 14 is for 14,000 feet as the peak elevation of the Rockies.
I like Colorado Summit. I think I like.
Yeah.
I think Denver Elevate's got something there. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Because like if Aspen wanted to have a team, I can understand why you wanted to not be the state only. But
right.
Yeah, I'm liking those. I'm not up with the Colorado 14ers.
I don't like that at all.
That sounds that sounds illegal.
Yeah. That sounds like that sounds like Chris Hansen's gonna be sitting on a chair in front of your kitchen island having.
She was a 14er. What are you messaging a 14er for?
Yeah, that
Denver.
sounds.
Denver FC is boring.
Yeah.
Denver Peak is not peak at all.
It doesn't. Yeah, that one doesn't hit for me.
Denver Gold something. That's just something there. You know,
I like of the names here. I think I like Colorado Summit and Denver Gold, I think, are the two that I like in this list. But if you got a different thought, go ahead and vote on their poll. You know, like it's open for another couple of days. Like I said, we're recording this Monday night. This closes on Wednesday, so you got some time to go in there and.
I just want to know the Jamoke who wrote in Colorado 14ers. Like, do you think he wrote that? It was like, I don't know, man.
Well,
I'm gonna do it because it makes sense, but like, this feels weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. They like obviously there's one meaning, like they're intending it to be, the highest peak of 14,000 feet or whatever is like the highest mountain in Colorado. It just it doesn't work. I think about the 49ers or the 76ers, and those are all associated with years. Whereas this is being associated with, a mountain. And I don't know. It just it might as well be the summit instead. I think it just makes more sense to be the summit.
And then they get a S, like the car part brand, Tyler. Summit is get an S, kind of like Seattle did with Seagrams.
Right.
Just a red, white, and blue S. Summit.
Yeah. Okay, so that's basically that's all I got for soccer. So
before we go, my final notes for the show is March is known as March Madness for college, but we got the NFL Combine, we got the WNBA draft, we got March Madness for college. Next week I'm going to be so busy watching this combine. I'm one of those weirdos that watches the combine to see how fast people can run. Watch Rich Eisen run. That's always fun.
Whatever suit they can find to run. To make a fool of themselves.
This coming weeks, the Valkyrie, get their first ever overall pick, and I am not ruling out trading up and getting Paige Beckers.
You know what? I want Juju Watkins. Give me Juju Watkins. Like if they can only get up to number 2, give me Juju. I'd be more than happy with Juju Watkins.
I'm telling you, boys,
I want number 1.
It's gonna be that center from UCLA. I'm telling you.
Is it the France? She's from France or something?
I don't know if she's from France, but she's a baller. I'll tell you that.
I know there's a center. There's a forward/center, I think, from France that I seen that she was tied to the Valkyrie. So a lot of exciting stuff in the coming weeks. I'm super excited for this first draft and combine, and then the NFL free agency is right around the corner, and then the NFL draft. So
Lauren Betts, that's the center for UCLA.
Lauren Betts is who you got your eye on.
She's from Colorado, so bringing it full circle here.
Okay.
I did want to say, just want to give ourselves some clap here. Thank you to Tim. We decided to go with a banner today, and he had to do double the duty of changing things on the fly here for us. So shout out, Tim. Thank you.
That carpal tunnel's real too.
Yeah, man.
His wrist.
That's right. Don't forget to ice it. Advil and ice, baby. Advil and ice.
As always, guys, thank you for listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell. It's down here somewhere when you're watching the video to get alerts when you go or we go live. Not when you go live, unless you want to go live. Also, if you don't have time to listen to the full episodes, we are putting out several segments throughout the week on YouTube, which you can also hit the bell and get alerts on those. So follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into the DMs. Love to interact with all you beautiful people.
Thank you very much. FJF. Have a nice night.
FJF.